This optical illusion test will literally change your eye color. I've picked 6 visual illusions that you've never seen before. In this illusion, all you have to do is focus on the dot in the center of the screen. Does the picture change color? If it does, then you did it correctly. If not, don't worry, try the next illusion, and it will probably work. Look carefully at this Rubik's Cube and try to count how many colors it has. You probably found all the colors: white, yellow, green, blue, red, brown, and orange. But here's the trick. Brown and orange are actually the same color. This illusion will make everything around you appear smaller. To experience the effect, focus on the center of the screen and try not to blink too often, or the illusion may not work. However, if you need to, you can blink a few times. By the way, I recommend watching this video in full screen mode as the illusion will be much more effective. Did it work? Do you feel like the things around you are shrinking? Let me know in the comments. In this illusion, as always, just focus on the plus sign in the center of the screen. Have you noticed that these Hollywood stars look terrible? Pretty cool, right? In reality, the stars themselves look perfectly normal. It's your brain playing tricks on you. What color are the spirals on the screen? I'm sure you said green and blue. Well, you were wrong. They're actually the same color. The pink background tricks your brain into seeing them as different shades. In this illusion, focus on the dot, then move your head closer to and farther away from the screen. Actually, the image itself doesn't move, but your brain has different thoughts about it. Now it's time for the crazy bonus, just as I promised at the beginning of the video. An illusion that will change your eye color. Since this trick doesn't always work, it's best to stare at the illusion for as long as possible. Simply focus on the center of the screen for at least a few minutes, and eventually, your eye color will appear to change to match what you see on the screen. Let me know in the comments if your eye color actually changed. But if this illusion didn't work for you, don't worry, there are plenty more mind-blowing tricks coming up that will make you question reality. Look at this image. No animations, no tricks, just a static picture. Yet the snakes are slithering right in front of your eyes. The more you stare, the more they move. Try shifting your gaze from one part of the image to another. The movement speeds up, slows down, maybe even reverses. What's going on here? This illusion is caused by how our brains process contrast, color, and tiny eye movements. The pattern in the image is made up of high-contrast shapes arranged in a way that confuses your visual system. Your eyes are constantly making small, involuntary movements called saccades. Normally your brain filters these out so you don't notice them. But here, the contrast tricks your brain into thinking the pattern itself is moving instead. Want to make it even stronger? Blink a few times while looking at different parts of the image. The snakes will suddenly seem to wriggle faster. Scientists believe this illusion happens because of how our neurons process brightness and color changes at different speeds. Now that you've seen how your brain can be fooled so easily, let's test another illusion that will make you doubt your own eyes. Take a good look at this spinning dancer. Which way is she turning? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Be sure of your answer. Now, try focusing on her foot, then shift your gaze to her head. Did the direction change? If not, keep watching. It might flip at any moment. This illusion works because your brain doesn't have enough depth cues to determine the dancer's actual movement. The silhouette lacks shadows and perspective, so your brain guesses the direction. It builds a three-dimensional model in your mind, but since both possibilities make sense, the image can flip back and forth. Some people can even control the switch by concentrating on different parts of the body or blinking rapidly. If you're struggling to see it change, try this. Close one eye and focus on the dancer's raised leg. Or watch the shadow beneath her. The moment it clicks, the whole image shifts. This isn't just a fun trick, it reveals how easily your brain fills in missing details without you realizing it. Look at these two squares labeled A and B. One is clearly darker than the other, right? Except, they are actually the exact same color. Cover everything around them with your finger and watch as the difference disappears. Uncover the surroundings, and the illusion returns instantly. Your brain is playing a trick on you. It assumes there's a light source and automatically corrects for shadows, making objects appear brighter or darker than they really are. This is called brightness constancy, and it helps us navigate the real world. In this image, the shadow cast by the cylinder makes square B look lighter than it really is, but in reality, it's identical to square A. If you still don't believe it, open this image in any editing software and use the color picker tool. No matter how much your brain insists these squares are different, they are completely the same. Your eyes lie to you more often than you think. Here's a spiral. Or is it? Trace the lines with your finger. You'll quickly realize something strange. This isn't a spiral at all. Every line is actually a perfect circle. Your brain sees a spiral because of the repeating pattern of curves and alternating colors. The tilted lines create the illusion of movement, making it seem like they connect into a continuous loop. This is a perfect example of how your brain tries to simplify complex patterns, sometimes leading to mistakes. Want to prove it to yourself? Cover everything except a small section of the spiral with a piece of paper. You'll see that each loop is just a circle. The illusion is completely broken when viewed in parts, but as soon as you look at the whole image again, your brain falls for it instantly. It's a reminder that what you perceive isn't always reality. These horizontal lines look slanted, but they're actually straight. No tricks, no bending, just a clever arrangement of tiles that confuses your perception. This is the cafe wall illusion, named after a pattern first noticed on the walls of a cafe in Bristol. The effect happens because of the alternating black and white tiles separated by thin gray lines. The contrast tricks your visual system, making the rows appear to shift and tilt. Your brain expects straight lines to stay parallel, but the way the colors are arranged distorts your depth perception. Test it yourself. Cover everything except a single row of tiles and you'll see that it's completely straight. But as soon as you look at the whole pattern, the distortion returns. Even though your eyes are telling you one thing, reality proves otherwise. Your brain doesn't just see, it interprets, and sometimes it gets things very, very wrong. Stare at the dot in the center of this image. Keep your eyes completely still, don't blink too much, don't move your gaze. Within seconds, something strange starts to happen. The colors around the dot begin to fade, maybe even disappear completely. No, the screen isn't broken, your brain is. This is the Troxler effect, a phenomenon where static objects fade away if you fixate on one point for long enough. Your brain is designed to filter out unchanging stimuli to focus on what's moving or important. In this case, since the background stays the same, your visual system starts to erase it. Try this with any soft, blurred pattern. The longer you stare, the more your brain smooths it out until it vanishes completely. This happens in real life too. Ever walked into a room and suddenly stopped noticing the ticking of a clock or the hum of a refrigerator? That's the same effect, your brain discarding unnecessary information. Sometimes seeing less helps you focus more. Here are two curved shapes. One is clearly bigger than the other, except they are exactly the same size. This is the Jastrow illusion, and it works because of the way our brains compare objects. When two identical shapes are placed in a staggered position, our perception gets tricked. The bottom curve of one shape is directly next to the top curve of the other, making the lower one seem larger. It's a simple but incredibly effective trick. This illusion is so powerful that even knowing how it works doesn't make it go away. Your brain is wired to compare shapes based on their placement, and it refuses to accept the truth. This isn't just a fun party trick. Real-world objects, from furniture design to amusement park rides, sometimes take advantage of these tricks to manipulate perception. Take a look at this image. What do you see first? A vase? Two faces staring at each other? Now try switching between the two. Can you make them flip at will? This illusion, known as the Rubin vase, plays with how we perceive foreground and background. Our brains like to separate objects from their surroundings, but in this case, it can't decide which is which. If you focus on the white space, you see a vase. If you focus on the black shapes, the faces appear. Your brain is forced to pick one interpretation at a time, even though both are there. This effect isn't just for fun, it's used in psychology to study how people process visual information. What we see first can even be influenced by personality, mood, or past experiences. Some researchers believe this applies to the way we perceive people and situations in everyday life. What if reality is just a matter of perspective? Look at this grid of black squares. Do you see faint gray dots appearing at the intersections? Now, try focusing directly on one. It vanishes. Look away, and the dots seem to pop up again. This is the Hermann grid illusion, a perfect example of how your brain tries to process contrast. The dark squares create strong visual signals, but your peripheral vision struggles with the white spaces in between. Your brain tries to fill in the gaps, leading to the illusion of gray dots flickering at the intersections. This effect shows how your eyes are constantly predicting what you should see, rather than just reporting raw information. That's why we sometimes think we see movement in shadows, or why we misinterpret objects in our peripheral vision. Your brain doesn't just process the world, it guesses what's out there. Step into this room. and something impossible happens. A person on one side appears tiny, while someone else on the other side looks gigantic. Walk across and you seem to grow or shrink in real time. No camera tricks. This is the Ames room, an illusion that bends reality itself. The secret is in the room's construction. It's carefully distorted so that walls, floors, and ceilings look normal from one specific viewpoint, but in reality, the room is far from symmetrical. One side is much farther away than it appears, while the other is closer. Your brain expects everything to be at right angles, so it forces the perspective, making people appear larger or smaller than they really are. This illusion has been used in movies, theme parks, and even psychological experiments. It proves that what we see isn't always what's real. Your eyes capture an image, but your brain modifies it based on what it expects. Sometimes perception isn't just flawed, it's completely fake. Look at this ship. It's not in the water, it's floating in mid-air. No Photoshop, no tricks, just a natural illusion that happens in real life. If you've ever seen something like this on the horizon, you're not alone. This effect is caused by a superior mirage, where layers of warm and cool air bend light in a way that distorts how we see distant objects. Normally, light travels in straight lines, but when warm air sits on top of cooler air, it creates a lens-like effect. This bends the light toward your eyes, making the ship appear higher than it actually is. The result? A vessel that seems to hover above the water like a scene from a sci-fi movie. This isn't just a rare occurrence. Sailors have reported floating ships for centuries, sometimes mistaking them for ghostly apparitions. Even today, pilots and travelers witness these mind-bending distortions. What you see on the horizon isn't always where it truly is. Which of these two orange circles is bigger? Take a good look and make a decision. Now, prepare to be fooled. They're both the exact same size. This is the Ebbinghaus illusion, and it works because our brains judge size based on surroundings. The orange circle on the left looks smaller because it's surrounded by larger circles. The one on the right looks bigger because it's surrounded by smaller ones. Our perception is relative. We don't see objects in isolation, but in comparison to what's around them. Try this yourself. Cut out two identical circles and place them next to different-sized objects. Even though you know they're the same size, one will always appear larger. This is why designers, advertisers, and even sports trainers use visual context to manipulate how we perceive objects, products, or even people. Your brain isn't measuring reality, it's constantly guessing. An endless staircase that never goes up or down, it just loops forever. This is the Penrose Stairs, one of the most famous impossible objects ever created. It looks real, but if you were to try walking on it, you'd quickly realize something's wrong. This illusion works because of forced perspective. The staircase is drawn in a way that tricks your brain into believing all four sides connect seamlessly. Your mind naturally follows the lines, expecting them to make sense, even though they create a paradox. This is why optical illusions are so powerful. Your brain fills in the gaps, even when what you're seeing is impossible. The Penrose Stairs has been used in art, video games, and even movies like Inception, where characters manipulate gravity. Even though you know it can't exist, your mind refuses to let go of the illusion. It's a perfect example of how our brains turn two-dimensional images into three-dimensional reality, sometimes at the cost of logic itself. These parallel lines look like they're tilting at wild angles, almost as if they're bending toward or away from each other. But take a ruler and check for yourself. They are completely straight. This is the Zollner illusion, and it happens because of the small diagonal lines intersecting the main ones. Your brain tries to process multiple angles at once, leading to a conflict in perception. The contrast between the diagonals and the straight lines tricks your mind into warping their orientation. Want to make it even worse? Move your head closer or further from the image. The effect can become stronger or weaker depending on your viewing distance. This illusion is so effective that it has been studied for decades in psychology and even used in design to create a sense of motion or distortion in static images. Your brain wants order, but sometimes, patterns refuse to behave. Here's a mask. Seems normal, right? Now, watch as it rotates. Something impossible happens. The inside of the mask, its concave, hollow side, suddenly pops out and looks just as real as the normal face. No matter how much you focus, your brain refuses to accept the truth. This is the hollow face illusion, one of the most powerful optical tricks ever discovered. Your brain is so used to seeing faces as pushed outward that it overrides reality. Even when you know the mask is hollow, your mind fills in the depth, forcing you to see a face staring back at you. The illusion is so strong that even shadows and depth cues don't break it. This effect is used in theme parks, haunted houses, and even scientific research. Psychologists have studied it to understand how our brains process depth and recognize faces. It's even been tested on people with schizophrenia, who sometimes see through the illusion because their brains process reality differently. Now, step back for a second. After everything you've seen, moving snakes, disappearing objects, impossible staircases, one thing is clear: your brain is constantly lying to you. What you see isn't always the truth. Your mind fills in gaps, adjusts for context, and sometimes flat out invents reality. So after all this, how much of what you see every day is real, or is it just another illusion? Which illusion impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.